Hail and well met. Welcome to the long-anticipated book 2 of Isekai Realms with the Isekai Realms crew, including myself, Eric Scott DeB. I'm a writer, game designer, streamer, Twitch influencer. No. And I am playing myself, just as all of us are, although some of us are less like ourselves than we used to be. I am an aspiring paladin that might become an actual paladin as time goes on, and I call myself Elric Thalavar while I'm in the realms. Join our Discord. That's a good place to find information about all our various writings, all our various campaigns, and just it's really fun. We have a thriving community of like hundreds of people. It's really great. So check it out. With that said, take it away, Allie.
Hi, everybody. I am Alexander Pitchford. I'm a little rough in the throat today, so please bear with me. Pardon. But I am an author, game designer, and TTRPG streamer, and I am playing myself, but a little different from my usual self, as you might have seen in our previous season, having been transformed into an elf
Excellent.
of a particular familiar countenance.
I'm Rhiannon Held. I write urban fantasy as Rhiannon Held, and space opera is RZ Held, a series of novellas. So if you want a little bite-sized try of my writing, check those out, the Amsterdam Institute series. I have 2 dice partners to tell you about. Norse Foundry specializes in metal dice. When you roll them, it feels like you're skillfully smashing the rigid armor of the monster horde. You can find their dice and accessories at norsefoundry.com. Phoenix Dice is named for the creature that rises from the ashes because they use all recycled materials. You can find their dice and accessories at phoenixdice.com.
Excuse me. Good evening, everybody. I'm Joel Everett, usually one of your mods posting silly polls in chat under the handle Rumpus Imperator. And I am playing myself as well in the transported in the realms and transformed into a dwarf by a family curse. Randy?
Hi, I'm Randy Henderson, shockingly playing a bard and but slash possibly kind of clericish bard now. And then yeah, I think I go, I'm trying to remember what I said, Randonius
Hendersonius
Maximus,
that's
something
right.
like that. I think
It
is
rolls
what I'm
right off the tongue. It really just rolls right off the tongue.
Randonius Hendersonius Maximus. And yeah, looking forward to risking my life some more in the dangerous realms.
Excellent.
Over to me?
Yeah.
Over to you.
All right. And I am Chris, aka Chris the Grey, your noble dungeon master, well, your dungeon master in any event. And welcome to book 2. If no one has seen this thing before at all, either in a long time, because you watched book 1 a million years ago when it came out, or in the alternative, you've somehow stumbled into the dark pit that is book 2 without having any sense of what it is that book 1 was all about. This is a Isekai game is what we're calling it, but what I used to call it back in the day, and I've been doing this for a very long time, this is my one-trick pony as a DM, is a play yourself game. And that is different from the traditional game insofar as rather than playing a character and adventuring in the game world of your choice, you're actually in this case playing yourself. You've been statted out using a set of rules, in our case, 2nd edition Dungeons and Dragons rules, and dropped into a fantasy realm, in this case, the Forgotten Realms. And so in some ways, it's easier because the decisions you need to make about what your character is going to do, what your character loves and hates, and all those things is based on you. In some ways, that makes it harder. And some would argue that it makes for deeper, what I like to refer to as soul play, as opposed to role play, because you're forced to plumb the inner depths of your soul and making some decisions about what it is your character will do. We tried this in a bunch of different formats here on the Dungeon Scrawlers, but this is the core game. And like we said, book 2. So what happened in book 1, you ask? Well, I'm here to tell you. Eric, my old frenemy, who I met over 10 years ago at a Gen Con, I want to say 2012, Eric, does that sound about right?
That sounds about right.
All right, 2012, finally agreed in 2022 at Gen Con. I want to say 2022 Gen Con to try my play yourself game. Only he said, let's try it online with my online gaming friends instead. And so now all of you have been subjected to the wonders and the horrors that are this game. Eric convinced these gentlefolk to join him on this adventure, and they found themselves transported into the Forgotten Realms, into a little town named Redansir on the Dragon Coast near to Westgate. They woke up in the woods on Midsummer Eve in the year of Wild Magic, I think, 1372. I believe that's year of Wild Magic, DR. And they wandered from the spot where they were in the woods, where they had to deal with a small warg infestation, into the little town of Redansir in the middle of the night. Found themselves at Redansir's only inn, the Giant's Folly, where they got to know the folks that were there, and kind of ended up in the middle of a dispute between a paladin of Tyr and a warlock who bore a striking resemblance to a friend that they had from Earth at the Giant's Folly. That they got in the middle of the fight as the Tyrians tried to arrest said warlock, and she was unfortunately slain, but not before birthing in fire and ash 2 children, tieflings, that are probably somehow related to the Kakistos family of, again, some Forgotten Realms fame. And the party ended up as their sort of custodians in the short term. They left that place in the company of a couple of NPCs, friendly NPCs, headed back to the clearing where they had originally arrived, as there was a portal there that operated during the hours of midsummer, and it was past midnight on Midsummer's Eve, that would take them to Westgate. They used that portal, ended up in a long disused temple below ground in Westgate, traipsed up through the sewers, meeting their first vampire, and getting the better of it as it fled off into the darkness in Westgate. I forgot one important detail. Before they got to the portal, while they were on their way to it, Joel might have said to Eric, "Hey, did you summon Vindicator yet?" What's Vindicator, Eric?
Well, Vindicator is the holy sword that Kalen Shadowbane Dren wields in my Shadowbane series, and notable for being able to be summoned to his hand and lighting in silver flame and dispelling evil wherever it goes.
What was it? Who was it in the hands of at the time that you summoned it, Eric?
That's a bit unclear, but I think it was not yet bequeathed unto the first Shadowbane, and it was still the Sword of Helm, because, well, theologically, and I could go on and on and on about this, but the Shadowbane and the group that Shadowbane came from believe it to be Helm's sacred sword itself, wielded by mortals after Helm's death. Of course, Helm's not dead at this timeline, but I could still summon the sword. Joel kind of dared me to do it, and I did it. And it worked. It burned out all my magical power, but now I have this awesome flaming sword. Theoretically.
Theoretically.
Anyway, we're getting ahead.
So
Yes.
speaking of magical power, something that the players discovered upon their arrival was that they were marked, branded, gifted, your choice of words, how you wish to describe it, with an image, which we'll probably be showing you on screen right now through Movie Magic, that clearly is the symbol of what appears to be 3 deities or beings of great power. It took a while for the party to figure out what they were, but they've come to understand that they are Helm, Aminator, which is a past and potentially future version of Lathander, god of the morning, and Asmodeus.
So wrong.
Sweat. Yeah.
This symbol is imbued with power, points of power, that we have been referring to as stars that allow the players to do certain things, defend themselves, punch above their weight class in combat, that sort of thing. Eric is the only one with none of them, because as he points out, he burns them all in order to get his hands on Vindicator. He had an unintended conversation with the deity Helm, who charged Eric with a particular responsibility as the OG Shadowbane. So I believe that's where Eric finds himself today, more or less. And the remaining members of the party, Eric included, found themselves underneath Westgate. They traipsed across the under of Westgate, inadvertently ending up going through the sewers. Eric got the worst of that, ended up on the streets of Westgate in the middle of the night, were trying to make their way to a safe house that one of the NPCs that was accompanying them told them would be a place that they could go. Encountered some ruffians in an alleyway. Eric got the better of those ruffians, cutting them down as they tried to flee, and provoking an existential crisis both in and outside himself and to the rest of the party. They arrived at the safe house, only to discover that that safe house was Briarhouse from the Westgate Irregulars in the mists of the past, in the hands, ownership of an individual known as Jamal the Thespian. Jamal the Thespian was a woman in her late 50s, early 60s, who was had been in her glory days a big street performer and player for freedom and politics in the city of Westgate, who'd fallen on hard times, but was still trying to do what good she could. She was delighted to see that the party had joined her, adopted them all as cheap heroes, put them up in her house, and they had their first and so far only night's rest in the realms. When they went to sleep, they all had various dreams, some prophetic, some that resulted in consequential changes to themselves, Allie. And they encountered, and Joel, they encountered, in many cases, voices or visions of things that were either occurring or to come. And when they awoke the next morning, they were charged with purpose. The first purpose that they set upon was attempting to rescue Gedrin Thalavar, who at this time is but a mere boy of 4 or 5 winters. Gedrin was, Eric, the original OG Shadowbane, yes?
Yes. He originally in the timeline formed the Eye of Justice after having a prophetic dream upon the event of Helm's death at the hands of other deities, and what we shall not further discuss. And the Eye of Justice then rooted out the Night Masks from Westgate, and Gedrin Shadowbane became a hero of legend. It doesn't appear to be exactly how things are working out now. So
it does seem to be slightly off track. However,
mostly because of us.
After a rude rebuffing at House Thalavar, where you were hoping they would be helpful, but they were definitely not, you ended up back at Briarhouse and scheming with Jamal. Someone joined your group at this point, showed up at the door, in fact. Someone who had been in Randy's dream the night before. Finnan Wanderwhistle, a halfling priest of Finder, who became Randy's boon companion and an advisor to the group. Fast friend with Jamal. You had enough of a lead about where the young Gedrin might be from Eric's previous dream to be able to potentially seek him out at the Purple Lady, a fest hall here in the lovely city of Westgate. You ended up running into another famous NPC, also of Eric's creation. Eric, could you tell us for a moment about that person?
Well, I kind of feel like maybe Allie should take this one.
Allie?
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Well, it seems that the contact we were being sent to meet turned out to be none other than the Fox at Twilight, Illyra Nathalan, the character created by Eric himself over there looking all smug.
I did everything to keep her from finding out who I was, obviously.
Yeah, obviously. And had one of the most cringe lines in any game I've ever played. Thank you for that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hijinks ensued. We barely made it out of that place with our lives, mostly because we were surrounded by vampires.
About 16 vampires. Got out of there, though. I found out that I could somehow shadow dance. Really not what I was trying to do at the time. It was very frustrating. But and then the place got lit on fire.
Got lit on fire, you say?
I love how
Yeah.
we're just glossing over Illider's role in all this. But anyway,
Well, we don't want to spoil it, but her role was perfection. Exactly what she
oh
would have
yeah,
done.
very in character.
But
Yeah.
I think we were mentioning all this fire. Do we recall where all this fire came from?
Hard to say. Is there anyone here who might have been in any way responsible for that? It seems as though Rhiannon has a special friend who she's been communicating with throughout this tale, who happens to be able to teach her to access a natural power she has, which is the power of fire. And so Rhiannon has become a sorcerer and quite dramatically used that power to rescue...
To save your butt.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Rescue all of you from certain death at the hands of the vampires that infested that particular location.
I mean, apparently I was going to be okay.
Well, yes, okay. So almost all of you, but inadvertently may have started a large fire. You emerged out onto the street, retreated to Briar House, only to discover that one of your companions, Finnan, had given his life attempting to keep the vampires at bay while you all retreated. There was a moment of great sadness, particularly with Jamal, over Finnan's loss. They placed his body in the library, and they put their collective heads together to get the tip that they had received at great cost from Illyra about where the young Gedrin was. Apparently in the hold of a ship in the harbor known as the Zulkir's Pride that was owned by, unsurprisingly, the Red Wizards of Thay. One Red Wizardess in particular, who you fortunately never met, but who may have been featured in a major motion picture. You went to the ship. Eric and Allie infiltrated the vessel, brought Randy aboard, and with the assistance of the entire group, liberated not only Gedrin, but all of the people who are prisoners in the hold. Rhiannon, then keeping with tradition, set the ship afire to burn to the waterline in your departure.
Yeah. And I killed a filthy slaver.
You sure did. You had what was a very dramatic jump down and kill the Red Wizard of Thay moment.
Yep.
And I believe there was also some looting. I believe also looting was involved in that experience.
Yes.
So there's a little bit of
Yes, it
treasure from
was.
that, lest we forget. Giddy,
Which I still have.
Giddy with your collective success, you beat feet racing the dawn back to Briar House, and Jamal told you about a grand scheme she had to rescue Lady Thistle, who was the heir of House Thalavar, who has fallen under the sway of Orblock, aka Manchun, the vampire king of the shadows below the city. Only to discover that sometimes when you set a vampire's clubhouse on fire, it gets them rather testy about the situation. So they kind of followed you there and cornered you all at Briar House and proceeded to lay siege to the facility. They were busting in. Things looked terribly dire. Eric stood up to the vampire that had broken his way in through the wards. Randy used a clever trick to put the wards up behind that vampire, so only one of them was inside. And Rhiannon glassed the lot of the vampires outside with a rather impressive meteor swarm, with the exception of Orblock himself, who was out there and who had just felled Jamal with a chain lightning spell. Eric sadly gave his life in combat in order to allow the rest of the people to escape, and you discovered something rather miraculous about Finnan. Finnan wasn't just Finnan. Finnan was Finder Wyvernspur, the god of bards, rebirth, and reckless fools, who had been apparently traveling along with you to keep you all alive through the night. He did his best.
God of reckless fools, that tracks.
I was gonna say it. Yeah.
Mhm,
He
mhm,
did his
mhm.
best, even if he lost Eric. But he did give you the key to getting Eric back, so that's important. He had seen something in Randy and offered Randy his power. Randy entered into some sort of a deal, which we'll learn more about tonight, with Finder. In the process, going unconscious, and
Finder,
that
who looked
left-
remarkably like Ed Greenwood at the time.
remarkably like Ed Greenwood, spitting image of Ed Greenwood making a guest appearance as Finder Wyvernspur, destined to play a god, really, when you think about it. And so that left Randy unconscious, Eric only mostly dead, unconscious. The 3 children, which you had rescued and liberated, all unconscious because they were in the presence of a deity who revealed himself. And 3 conscious players who got guidance from Finder about how to leave Westgate, as that is what you all collectively decided you wanted to do. So you fled to the Temple of Amanantor below the city, which was where the gate was located that you came into in the first place. You used the tips and tricks that were given to you by Finder about how to operate that gate, Allie being the person responsible for doing so. Picturing a destination in mind far across the world, well, maybe not super far, but reasonably, 1,000+ miles away, in Waterdeep. And that was where we left our noble heroes, being sucked into that gate to traipse halfway across the world.
And Allie's mind might have wandered a little bit while imagining Waterdeep.
We'll see.
So we'll see what
exactly-
happens.
We'll see exactly how far it wandered in just a few moments. So, does anyone think I failed to mention anything important in that recap?
That seems to about capture it.
We're still not really sure what's going on, so you tell
Right.
us.
Fair enough. So, recap, Cap. I have a couple of questions to ask the conscious people. You're all keeping track of how many stars you have left. I'm doing the same, but I also want to know that you are all keeping track of how many stars you have left. You have a sense of your powers. I think you'll see now that the what's the word I'm looking for? Nameplates under the characters indicate what class and what level you are, and all of you have got some kind of class and level at this point in time. And while you have yet to receive full fleshed out character sheets, you have a much better sense of what you were than the last time we played. Oh, I suppose also of note, you've only been in the Forgotten Realms for less than 48 hours.
It's
that
true,
entire
yeah.
book
Yep.
took place in approximately
was-
36 to 40.
Almost
So-
real time, yeah.
Almost
You
real
could,
time.
you could almost hear the ticking of the clock at the beginning of every episode.
Almost hear the ticking of the clock. So you had some equipment that you had acquired in the depths underneath Briarhouse that had been clearly hidden there by its original owner, Briar Thalavar, Thistle's mother. Where is that equipment now?
Well, we've split it up among ourselves for the most part. I have Briar's stiletto, dagger, and the boots that I strongly believe are boots of striding and springing.
That's a very accurate and strong belief. Okay, and Rhiannon, what have you got?
A ring of freedom of movement, healing potion, and then I took the cloak of displacement from Eric because his unconscious body doesn't need it. And I ended up with the lightning bolt wand, right?
Correct, from Jamal,
Okay.
that dropped from her
Yeah.
nerveless fingers when she was slain by that chain lightning. Okay, excellent. And Randy, you're unconscious. Joel.
I took a amulet of protection and healing, also from Eric. Loot the body.
Yep.
And that is, and other than a healing potion, I believe that's all I have at the moment.
Okay. You are, however, I believe, wearing plate mail that you acquired at.
Yes, I have a set of non-magical plate mail, a couple of short swords, a shield.
Okay, so you have some equipment. The thing that is presently missing from the group is Vindicator, that weapon we talked about just a little while ago. Somewhere between when you left Briarhouse and when you arrived at the Temple of Aminator, it went missing, and you're not quite sure where it is. Eric has historically been able to call it to his hand, but he's a little unconscious at the moment. So we'll see how that turns out when he's not. Randy.
Oh, I can't remember. Did Jamal die, or did Finder bring her back?
Jamal died in front of you. So
Okay.
Unless Finder restored her to life after you left, she is dead.
Okay. All right.
All right.
I mean, he might have, and because it would be funny, but no, I don't think so. I'll let them be miserable.
Okay.
Womp womp.
All right. Perhaps you'll gain more knowledge about this subject as we go. All right. So I have a sense of equipment. I have a sense of what everyone was doing. So we will pick up play. So as we pick up play, you felt yourselves drawn through this gate. And as I described it to you last time, you've stepped through this gate, in fact, before. And it was just as if you were stepping from one place through a curtain to another, without any sense of real time or anything passing in between those two places the first time you did it. This time was very different. Allie touched the plane of the gate, envisioned a destination, and then was pulled bodily through it and into darkness, almost like being sucked into a black hole. And the rest of you who were in physical contact with Allie were drawn similarly through it in a moment of sheer terror as you're being pulled bodily through it and into, again, that darkness once you hit the plane of the glowing sunlight-colored yellow gate. There will be a short drop, as though you're falling from one place to another, but it's only a couple of feet in that darkness. And you'll stagger for a bit. Those of you that are carrying unconscious people will end up having to sort of they'll drop a foot or two and grunt as they hit the ground because all of your unconscious people are alive. And then you will find yourselves on your knees in a forest at night.
Not again.
Done
Water.
this before.
Deep doesn't. It's a city. It's not a forest. Maybe it's got some parks.
Mara,
perhaps...
what did you do?
I didn't do anything. I imagined Waterdeep, and maybe it's not super accurate. I don't know.
So
I mean, or this is the grocery shopper, we can't give you that, so we'll give you this other thing that really has nothing to do with it.
This forest is lush. It's sort of a combination of a temperate forest and a jungle forest in terms of the trees. They're a real mishmash. And in terms of how dense it is, it's got a a jungle-like feel to it, more than it has a forest-like feel to it. Massive area of life and vegetation. Trees are healthy, thick-leaved, and tall, reaching 80 plus feet up into the night sky. There is a moon. You can see the full moon, Selune, and the tears of Selune behind it. Steam rising from the ground. It's so warm and moist. And there's the rich smell, both of sort of loam and also of vegetation around you. You can hear the sounds of insects around in the night, and animals sort of hooting, and maybe even hear small animals moving at the edge of your vision. only light is the moonlight above you. As I said, it's dense, so you can hardly see ahead of you, but you've got an almost better view straight up at the moon in the sky. As you arrive, you'll note that the 3 children, the babes and Gedron, will start sort of stirring for the first time since they were originally knocked out, but that Eric and Randy still look like they are out like a light. It's a definite what the hell situation. And then your invisible friends will chime in. Joel, you'll get the following reaction in your, and if you recall, this is the it's in your head indication from the elderly British gentleman who seems to inhabit your mind.
Quiet.
Yes. Oh my. This is a dangerous place. Tread carefully.
Can you give us an idea of where we are?
I'm afraid I can say no more.
Do you know where we are and you just can't say?
Precisely.
Why do I even talk to you?
An excellent question, really. Allie, in an unexpected turn of events, because you don't normally hear from your breathy, sultry voice, except when you're asleep, you can hear it struggling to communicate with you in your mind. It's purring. It seems pleased with what you've done. And it says, well played. Near in the city. And it's doing something with that word to indicate that it doesn't necessarily really mean city, is a place where you can speak with me freely. Seek it out. Ask me more in your dreams.
Huh.
Uh-huh.
And then Rhiannon, your old
Yep.
friend, Chatty Cathy Chatbox, who never seems to shut up. An interesting choice. You may need more of my help, sooner rather than later.
I mean, I'm sure you would be pleased if I did.
Well, of course I would. It would expand your education.
I have a theory about
So-
where we're at, but I'm asleep.
So
Sorry.
I'll
Oh.
try. I'll ask. So can you tell me what this place is?
Yes, I can. It is near to where I think you intended to go, but not quite precisely there. You're in something known as the Willow Wood. Does that mean anything to you?
Nope. And then I will switch to
Oh.
out loud and I'll be like, Willowwood. Anybody?
That's a layer of Undermountain, isn't it?
Mhm.
But we're not underground.
What?
Undermountain's
does-
weird.
Allie,
That's
You're-
very much an understatement.
Allie, you're having a sinking feeling because
Oh.
when you were asked to think of Waterdeep, first thing
no.
that popped into your mind, this might be relevant.
Oh no. This might be my fault.
Care to share with the group? Is this a layer of Undermountain?
Well, so I was thinking of Waterdeep, right? And I was trying to imagine, what Waterdeep is like, and then my mind wandered,
Mm,
and I started thinking about Skullport.
Oh God.
And Skullport and the Promenade, but they're all kind of linked in my look. You let the person with ADHD operate the portal. Why
You
did
can
you
go
do
for the-
that?
You couldn't go for the yawning portal, or I don't know. Okay. All right. Well, we're here now.
So that's it. We're in Undermountain. That's how we're.
Once
guess.
again, demonstrating why you should be in charge.
As I recall, like I offered there were like tears or blood, and I was gonna cry, but people were like, no, Amara will do it.
Maybe next time you need to insist.
Yeah, you'd like that. All right. Next question. Which direction is the city proper?
Waterdeep?
Correct. Yes.
Up.
Yeah, as was said, Undermountain is weird. My guess is that's not real. Looking up at the sky. Or I don't know. I don't know how the magic here works, but I guess it fits the criteria.
Apparently. Okay, so I think our choices here are either try to sort of like get out and up to Waterdeep, and we still have unconscious people to carry around, or we're like, all right, we know where this is going. We're gonna end up like at the whatever crime-ridden blah 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 is Skullport. I vaguely remember it, and so we go in on our own terms, which I don't really like, but I feel like knowing what's gonna happen, maybe we want to like go there and pick where we're gonna encounter people.
Are you?
Well-
This is the DM asking you a question, Rhiannon. I'm assuming you surprised me when you'd never seen Excalibur, but I think I can safely assume you've seen the 1977 Star Wars film. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
When you say, city, blah blah blah, your voice will say, "A wretched hive of scum and villainy, if ever there was one."
Whoa. All right. So I'm distracted from the rest of y'all. I suddenly go quiet. Who are you that you know to quote that?
I told you who I am. I'm a mix of the power of this mark and of you.
So you know the quote because I know the quote?
That's quite correct. I know what's in your mind and what's in your heart.
That is not optimal.
Do you want to tell it? It's not optimal.
That's what I said.
I don't know. I'm finding it quite convenient.
And we're just sitting here watching Rhiannon make funny faces.
Yes, that's not
Wondering what's happening.
awesome. Yeah.
Rhiannon,
Not
can your friend maybe give us directions to, where the nearest place of relative safety is? Whether that's up to Waterdeep or across or down to Skullport?
Well, so I asked it, which is me,
sorry.
like in as much as it's reading my mind to like quote things I know at me, it's kind of effed up. So I asked it how to get to Waterdeep, and it said up.
Yeah.
So, like, I think the safety one is a good point, though. So, somewhere that we will be safe-ish, safer than like going right into the hive of scum and villainy. What direction? Where do we go for that?
I know where you are broadly. I don't know where you are precisely. And while I have a bit of information, it's not inexhaustive about this place. You've two companions unconscious. Let's plumb the depths of their minds to see what they know about Undermountain. Perhaps if you can give me some information and get your bearings, I can help you more.
Okay, 1 minute.
Okay, well, so after conference, so wake these guys up, which because we don't really want to carry them some more. We should probably do like childcare, and get more sort of do some like recon, so that somebody that we talk to can help us. So,
Yeah.
Can you please all roll, just the three of you, a 20-sided die?
13.
Rolled using my dice from Norse Foundry.
An excellent choice.
I think this is a Phoenix die.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Likewise. And it gave me a 2.
Is a nat 20 good?
2, 13, and nat 20. A nat 20 is bloody awful because this is one of those ability checks.
I keep forgetting which is which.
So you don't know nothing. Rhiannon, you'll only notice when you say childcare that Gedrin is awake, sitting next to his father, just sort of checking on him to make sure he's okay, and just quietly listening to all of you, like just intently, in the way that young children do, sucking up like a sponge the things that you're saying to each other. Joel, you'll pick up on all of that, and you'll hear that the forest around you has gone quiet.
Oh boy.
Not having noticed any of that,
You'll just plunge on with your conversation.
Well, if we're in Undermountain, we're probably deeper than Skullport. Skullport's on the 3rd level. So the closest place to safety is probably going to be the promenade.
Hey folks, the forest around us just went quiet. That's probably not a good sign. Might want to go weapons out.
Yeah, I'll as soon as that's said, I will draw my sword.
Okay. Sword comes out, swords come out. What do weapons out mean, Rhiannon?
No one between me and the edge of the trees.
Okay, fair enough. These trees are pretty thick. Now, they're awfully moist, so I mean, like, it's not going to burn them all down in an instant, but you might start a fire if you just start
I have faith in
flinging fire around. So are we all just going to be real quiet for a second and see if, like panthers come plunging out of the woods?
Just
okay.
For a moment.
That's my inclination.
You're
Hopefully
all really quiet for a second, waiting for those panthers. In the silence, Willowwood is also located on the 3rd level of Undermountain, quite close to Skullport, actually. The promenade? I'm not sure I agree with that.
That was mine?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That was while you were waiting for panthers.
Sure.
No panthers appeared.
Okay.
How helpful. Selectively helpful.
The third level of Undermountain, again, for people who know these sort of things.
Oh.
Not near the promenade.
I thought Willowwood was on a different level. Well, I guess that's helpful. But yeah, if we can get, we might have to go to Skullport.
Wake up, recon.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
childcare.
We can't really move with 3 children and 2 unconscious adults.
Yeah.
I guess we could.
So does recon potentially mean a couple of people do a little sweep while one person guards the unconscious?
Well, so I think because Randy's been the one who's been good with the babies. I don't know about Gedrin. I feel like Gedrin would be focused on Eric.
Mm-hmm.
So
I will tell you that Gedrin seems to have taken a shine to you. If you recall from our conversations in episode 11, he seemed very attentive, listening to what you had to say and taking your direction. Obviously, Dad is most important, but Dad's sleeping peacefully right now.
He didn't take well to me.
You reminded him of the scary lady.
Yeah.
Who gave him to the Thayans.
That's true. Okay. So smelling salts is what I'm thinking here, which, like, trying to
do you have any of
something
those?
for that? No, of course not.
Okay.
If I had a cantrip, I'd try to find like a feather or something, because burning feathers and like burning hair is god awful, but like serves that purpose.
I mean, we have hair.
I feel like wasting spell points on a burning hands to like just do a smelling salts type smell is not what I want to do.
When you're not even sure it will work, because I just want to point out that Randy is KO'd courtesy of being touched by a god. So who knows what wakes you up from that? And Eric is KO'd by virtue of being raised from the dead, which basically means he's like in the ICU in terms of his capabilities at this particular.
Let's try a good hard knuckle sternum rub on both of them and see if either of them stir. I mean, just let's start with that.
I admire your medical/battlefield knowledge, Joel, because I like to roll dice for crazy things. I'm gonna roll some dice here. Whose sternum do you want to rub first?
Let's do Eric's first.
Okay. Eric, your number one sternum rubber. Okay. Nope.
All right, try Randy.
He'll groan.
Okay, so he's still.
Okay, and Randy gets a nice little sternum rub. No, but
But I
Randy,
will turn over so he can get between my shoulders if you don't mind.
but Randy, when we get to you in a moment, remind me you have a pleasant sternum rub coming your way.
Okay. All right.
It's not pleasant.
Okay. Perhaps I was using sarcasm.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Well,
So your primitive attempts to wake these people have not functioned.
Okay.
well, while they're doing that, can I try to be stealthy and maybe do some scouting?
You're pretty good at that, actually, the whole stealthy thing.
It helps.
So what is scouting consist of in this particular instance?
I think I would try to get our bearings a bit, not wandering too far away from the group because this is under mountain and but I'm hoping, is there like a tree nearby that like kind of pokes up?
So many trees nearby. Are you
Like
looking
that
to climb one
looks
of
like
those?
it. Yes.
Okay. You pick what you believe to be a good climbing tree.
Okay. Cool.
All right. You will begin scampering up it.
Yep.
This is where that climb skill and that 18 dexterity comes in handy. Well, there goes Allie climbing up. Oh, wow. Pretty good at that, actually. Huh.
Yeah.
How high up are you looking to go?
As high as I can. If I can get a vantage point where I can see over the canopy and
So
try
you're
to get
trying
a
to go
blanket.
way up.
Yes.
Okay. You'll get about 40 feet up, right?
Okay.
You can go further, but right now you're about 40 feet up. And you'll
Okay.
be able to see over the densest part of the wood below you. Holy
Okay.
crap, there's woods all around you. This is like crazy in all directions. Ooh, but there does appear to be a clearing, what is that, maybe like 100 feet out in that direction. It looks like it's got maybe a pond in it. Can't quite make it out. Going up isn't going to help because now you're above the
Yeah.
whatchamabob level. But in terms of
Okay.
like, is any direction different from any other? Or that way?
Okay. Once I've spotted that and get an idea that there really isn't that much else I can see, I'll head back down.
Okay. While Allie's doing that and you're giving gentle rubs, Rhiannon, anything that you're up to?
Well, I'm worried about the babies, but I refuse to be the person who is given the babies all the time just by default.
That's fair.
Because I have the memory that they still will probably need care.
Formal baby custodian.
I mean, I guess I did that to Randy, but Randy seemed more okay with it. So, do we have supplies anymore? Like,
Yes.
in the chaos? Okay.
You did have the opportunity to gather up all of the stuff that you had managed to acquire at Briar House before you beat feet for the Temple Underground.
Because I'll definitely need a diaper change.
Yes. And you've got feeding capability for them as well. You've got the milk and the horn to feed the milk. And so, I mean, if you want to, they do look like they might start squalling because they're always hungry, those two.
Yeah,
okay.
So, baby care stuff.
All right. So, it's probably been somewhere in the range of about 7 minutes. Allie, you are back down. Joel, you're convinced that it's going to take a lot more than a sternum rub to get these folks around, and the babies are cooing happily. Gedrum's just watching you. Hasn't said a word. Sitting next to Dad.
I mean, I feel like I should reassure him at least. So I'll say, we're just figuring out where we are, and then we're gonna go to safety. So I can't promise how long it's gonna be, but we are working on it. So don't worry.
I'm not afraid. Helm is watching us.
Correct. Not so much me, but definitely
you. So much me, but definitely you. Okay.
Well,
seems very calm for a 4 to 5 year old.
While time is passing, I'm actually going to task Gedrin, like, all right, Gedrin, you're going to watch from 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock. this way, I'm going to watch the other way. Okay, so we're just.
You're gonna have to explain the concept of a
I
clock
know.
face.
You watch from here to here, everything in between. I'll watch the other direction. Okay.
All right.
All right. So
Very
let's start,
serious young boy.
Start
And so
training
now
the kid.
he's out, just scanning the night.
All right. Good job, kid. All right.
Okay, so you're all back together again. Allie, you have information you
Yeah.
can choose to impart.
Well, I climbed up high enough that I could see over the thicker part of the canopy. There's a clearing out that way. It's the only thing I could see other than trees. So it's better than nothing as far as directions go. We could maybe see if we can find some other landmarks or something that could point the way once we get there. If you want to go that way.
100 feet away.
Yeah.
That's maybe 2 rounds in this.
Yeah.
Like whatever. 1 round if you're running, but who
Yeah,
wants to run
it's
through the
close
forest at night?
by. Maybe 100 feet.
All right. So, do we want to move there? I mean, or do we want? I mean, I guess our alternative is to camp out here and wait for the other 2 to wake up.
Being close to a source of water that may or may not kill us might at least be an option.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a good question. Do we have water with us as part of our supplies?
You have at least a day's worth, yes.
Okay.
Okay, good. Don't drink random water.
Right.
Yeah, but that's
remember-
definitely last ditch.
Right. Yeah.
desperation effort.
This is not a real woods. This is a dungeon designed by a mad mage. So we have to assume that everything here is dangerous.
Exactly.
At least let me boil it first, if you're going to.
And it wouldn't be last ditch, it would be last pond.
It's a light improvement, I guess. But
Okay.
all right.
Yeah.
Actually, since things probably come to the water to drink, I kind of like the idea of being a little ways away from it.
That's
plus
fair.
there's
We could
so maybe hang out here. Actually, if we're only 100 feet away.
That's fair.
Does a random pond help with specificity?
No.
That's
Perhaps if
what
you
I
could
thought, but
discover
okay.
something specific about the pond.
So, as far as like, I agree that we should probably hang tight here, but as far as getting directions out of here, we still need more than that. So I'm sort of wondering if, I mean, I know that I'm not like a fighter, but I do have the spells. If I should go so that I can sort of look for the kind of things my voice wants as I go, rather than playing telephone.
Yeah, why don't you and Amara go, since she's got the stealthy thing going on, and I can stay here with the unconscious ones and the kids.
Okay.
All right, sounds like a plan.
All right.
Okay, it seems like you have one. So, are you separating from the group and heading out as
Yeah.
stealthily as possible to that clearing about 100 feet away?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. The 2 of you will do that, melting out into the night. It's scary, Joel, how quickly they just disappear from view. Thankfully, you've got that infravision, so you can see them for a little bit more distance, but like 20 feet away, they were out of visual range. 40 feet away, they were out of infravision range, because there's just so much life in this forest around you. They ducked under, between, behind foliage, etc., etc. And you'll move, Allie and Rhiannon, cautiously trying not to step on anything living. Oh, Lord, that's like a 1.5 foot long millipede that you almost stepped on there. Yeesh. Bugs like you wouldn't believe in here. Feels like the Carboniferous period. And you're making your way to the direction of the clearing, and then suddenly you sort of step into it. It kind of sneaks up on you. Gone about, again, maybe 2 rounds, 100-ish feet, and there you are. It's about 40-foot rough egg shape, dominated by a pond, what looks like a freshwater spring. I mean, it's you can see to the bottom of it, more or less. And it has in front of it Is that a boulder? Or is that like a rock with some, it's moss covered. There's lots of moss covered stuff around this pond. Ooh, there's bones. There's bones around the pond poking
Okay.
out from the.
Let's stay back away from that.
Are they humanoid?
Roll 20 something.
Okay. And I have taken my I passed my osteology exam.
I believe in you.
4.
Good golly, Miss Molly. This is a mishmash of everything. There's animals, there's people. I mean, is that an orc or a human? It's hard to say without getting closer.
Bipedal is what would show the most.
There's, like I said, this is right around the edge of this pond. Something likes to leave bones there.
Honestly, this is Undermountain. I wouldn't be surprised if this is some kind of carnivorous moss.
Well, I mean, or something's living in the pond, and it's just like
that too. But I'm not. I don't want to take this. I don't want to take the chance touching the moss.
Allie, can you roll twice on a die for me?
Giant gelatinous cube in the shape of a pod.
I got a 4.
Your sharp elven eyesight will note for you that, oh yeah, that rock, while maybe a natural rock, has clearly at some point been worked by somebody, because while it's covered in moss, it's graven in script that runs down the whole front of it. Ooh, hey, that looks like Elvish. Now, you can't read Elvish, but the squiggly lines totally look like Elvish.
Well,
can you read Elvish?
There's Elvish carved into that boulder.
Of course I can read Elvish.
So, okay, here's what we're thinking here. And by we, I mean me. Getting a stick and sort of like trimming it down a little bit, but so I can from a distance start to sort of like maybe peel the moss off where the writing is. So I'm not getting up in there, with my own hands. So
the boulder is at the edge of the pond, maybe 2 or 3 feet away from it. You are how far from the edge of the boulder? 10 feet right now? Emerging from the clearing? Okay.
Yeah.
How long is this stick we're looking for?
So the bones don't necessarily mean the grabbing radius. They just mean the spitting out when they're done radius. It's the owl pellet radius. I mean, to a certain degree, like, you can get a stick as long as you want, but like then it's really wobbly and it doesn't do any like moss scraping. So scraping off the moss, bad idea in your opinion, yes or no?
What are we seeking to discover?
The writing. And then you read the writing, and then we know what the writing
Where
says.
we are.
Yes, exactly.
I suppose removing the moss is a good idea. Does it need to be scraped? I know of at least one other tool that might get the job done.
Actually, yeah. Okay.
The answer is always fire.
No, it's not. So burning hands would do it, right?
You need to be 5 feet away, but burning hands would do it.
Yes, that is what we're doing.
Are you going to explain that to Allie before you set about doing it?
Yeah.
Fair.
Go ahead.
So, okay, we're doing this.
Okay.
All right.
So you will creep to the edge of about 5 feet away, ready to lock your fingers and aim your fire to scour the moss from the rock so you can read whatever's graven upon the moss. And you will hear what sounds like something of at least man size approaching through the trees. There's multiple of them, and they are about to arrive in this clearing. They're coming from about 30 feet that way. You have that much time to communicate that and respond. What do you want to do?
So, I mean, say, because if I'm like, somebody's coming, then they know we're here, right?
Generally
but-
speaking, that does tip people off if they have ears.
Hand signs, or just book it.
I mean, yeah, going to try to get behind a tree that's opposite where they're coming, and probably grabbing Allie's arm as I do.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like pointing, shall we say.
Yeah.
So you'll
And
go to
I'll
hustle
move.
back. You'll go to
Yeah.
hustle back in that direction.
Yeah.
Okay. So you'll hustle back in that direction, grab Allie. Allie, as she was turning around in your direction, you heard what was coming in that from there.
Yeah.
Could you roll percentile dice for me?
Yeah, I could do that.
Gotta come up with code words for like impending peril. I think if we say the word initiative, then everyone will in our group will know what we mean.
53.
All right. Not only can you hear it, you also know that it's about the size of a person, and there are 5 of them.
Okay.
So,
So once we hit the trees, hunker down. I'm gonna crouch, just kind of like make my silhouette smaller, and dagger comes out, and I'll
Okay.
look at Rhiannon and just make 5.
you'll hunker down. You're hiding behind the tree. Dagger is out. You're trading glances with Rhiannon, who can or cannot see them coming out of the forest. Do you want to position yourself so the tree is completely between you and them, or do you want a little peering space?
Well, so light
Hearing
is
space.
an issue, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because of the
Moonlight, it's full.
Okay. Okay, good.
You're in a clearing.
Yeah.
If whatever it is comes out into the open, you'll know what it is in a heartbeat.
Okay. I want to see what's coming then.
Okay. So what you'll see stepping forth, trying to be stealthy, but not doing a fantastic job of it, above average, but you all spotted it nonetheless, is a group of people. There's 5 of them. 1 in the lead, 2 immediately behind that person, and then 2 flanked out behind that person. They're all human, although they look like mountain men. They are all men. They're range in size between 5'9" and 6'2". They're all fairly burly. The one in the lead is wearing what looks like monk's robes, but made of leather, fine brown leather. Looks like some sort of an animal hide, right? With the top thrown back. The 2 immediately off to the left and right of that person, similarly attired, although cruder leather robes. And then the 2 out from there are armed or armored in leather armor, decent looking leather armor, wooden shields, sort of simple rounded wooden shields, and metal studded wooden clubs. That's probably fighters on the end. And some kind of spellcaster in the middle. The one at the front, and the other 2, they're wearing symbols around there. Could you guys roll 27 dice for me?
2.
Ooh, 2's
Also
good.
2.
Okay.
It's energy.
These symbols look like a curled up beast's claw. Hanging around the neck of and that's where we'll take our first break.
Well, we'll be right back. Some of us might still be unconscious, but don't go away. And we're back. Welcome back after our little break. We're still down there in Undermountain, but things might not be quite as they seem. We might be seeing a few other special moments. So take it away, Chris.
So you say you're down there in Undermountain, but as it turns out, you, Eric, aren't. Instead, we're going to go to a different place. A place where you found yourself after the events of our mysterious episode 12 interlude between books 1 and 2. You were engaged in an adventure of sorts, in an interesting place, engaged in a conversation with the other players at the table, and then suddenly you felt yourself falling through a black tunnel, sort of towards the light, if you will.
Teleported away yet again.
in the same way that you ended up in the location that the first adventure occurred in, sort of. Although this is entirely different from that.
Uh-oh.
When you regain, I don't know if consciousness is the word, because it's not really consciousness, sentience. When you regain sentience, you will find that you are in a place of silvery and gray mist in every direction. There's a gray mist, formless, featureless, with no ground, no sky, no horizon to divide them around you.
So am I dead this time?
You say that like you might have some sense of where you are. Do you?
Well, this could be the astral plane, or it could be the ethereal plane, or it could be any number of other places.
So you aren't precisely sure.
Yeah, I look. Do I have a little cord?
You will glance both at yourself and around you. When you glance at yourself, you will see that, number one, you do not have an astral cord that would link you
Okay.
back to the prime material plane.
Right.
Number two, you are wearing the clothing that you were wearing when you were struck down by that vampire in the lobby of Briar House. Number three, you have no equipment, no weapons, no gear, except for tunic, breeches, and boots that you were wearing before. You can't quite feel them. Like, you know they're there and you can see them, but you're sort of lacking sensation now that you're thinking about it. And you'll also
No horn
notice
mask.
no horned mask. And you'll also notice that as you look around, that the gray world isn't completely blank. As you're peering out around into it, you'll notice that there are shapes in the distance. Not particularly close to you, but not all that far away, scattered in every direction. They look like, in sort of the gray mists, people, but not people. Shadowy humanoid forms against gray and silver, standing on two legs of various shapes and sizes. The closer you look at them, the more vague they become, receding until they almost vanish entirely. But when you turn your head from them, you can spy them out of the corners of your sight. So never where you look, but sort of everywhere at once.
That's not good. I'm going to approach one of the shapes. Just kind of choose one at random.
So you will begin moving in the direction of another figure.
Yeah. Partly this is to see if I can move.
You can. There is now what you might perceive as ground below you, but you realize that you can't quite feel yourself treading it. There's like this resistance from the earth, but like you would expect to feel your leg, for example, as it's coming into contact with the earth. And it isn't like that. Like you've got like no bodily sensation really. And you'll recognize, or you'll realize all at once, that you're missing two things that you're just used to every moment of every day of your life. And that's breathing and a heartbeat. Those things are utterly absent from you. You can hear in the distance, considerable distance, what sounds like rushing water, for what that's worth. You're trying to get closer to someone near you. You're moving. They're not moving, but it's like the ground is separating the two of you. You can't seem to get closer to them, almost like they're on their own journey of sorts. Roll a 20-sided die, Eric.
I rolled an 18, so
Yeah, you're kind of on your own in terms of insights as to where specifically this might be, but you are filled with this sinking suspicion that you may be dead.
yeah, no, it definitely seems that way. Do I see any landmarks? Like mountains, castles, any
Nothing.
lights? Nothing.
This flat illumination, not night, not day, off in every direction, and hundreds of feet maybe you can see, becoming more indistinct the further you go, but featureless void insofar as there's no particular landmarks. About the only thing that's significant is this noise, this rushing water sound in the distance.
Okay. I head
You wanna
toward
try
the
to-
rushing water sound.
Okay.
Pondering to myself if this is how Chris the Grey would describe the fugue plane. Probably, maybe, I'm not sure. We'll see if I find something.
Interesting.
I'm on a journey.
You're on a journey.
Might as well
You're
follow it.
You're headed in the direction of the rushing water.
Correct.
You're thinking to yourself, fugue plane. You will hear from behind you what sounds like the clinking of chains, right?
Mhm.
That's scary. And even though you can't draw breath, it doesn't mean you can't feel existential dread. And so you'll find yourself turning in that direction to determine whether or not there is something festooned in chains approaching you.
Yeah, I'm gonna look.
When you do that, something will tap you on the shoulder once from behind. If you could be scared to death, you would be scared to death.
Yeah, but I'm scared past death at
But you're
this point.
scared past death at this point.
I will
So-
look around.
Yeah, you'll wheel in that direction. And as you do, you'll discover a figure standing. Oh, okay. How to tap you on the shoulder from about 6 feet away is an interesting trick, but all right. It's a man, reasonably robust, fairly constitutious, over 6 feet in height, dressed well, almost regally. Oh, wow. It has a crown on its head and everything. You'd almost call that Westgate fashion, but it's not modern Westgate fashion. It's got that, like, I'm from the Renaissance Italy feel to it that Westgate sometimes gives you, but it looks sort of like out of place. The person is, they might also be dead because they're kind of quasi-substantial. They're wearing that stuff. They've got the crown. There's the chain noise that we talked about. They seem to be draped in chains, Jacob Marley style. They're wet. They're dripping wet, like they probably drowned. Only the water as it drips off is sort of, vanishing before it hits the ground here. That's probably ectoplasm, they will say, in a calm and almost regal voice. Well, lad, that was quick.
I can't say as I disagree. Do I know you, sir?
I don't know. Perhaps you do, although we've certainly never met. I was once a proud and noble man of Westgate, but now a contrite and humble servant of the God of Guardians. Sent here to advise his latest servant, you. He will point a finger, dripping water, in your direction. Although, lad, I didn't expect you to see you this soon. If it wasn't for Finder's meddling, I think you'd be staying.
I'm not staying.
No, you're not. And in fact,
Well-
we've only a little time to chat.
Well, in that case, tell me what you must. Although, please tell me what I should call you. You know me, obviously.
I do, Elric, or should I say Eric.
Correct.
I was known in life as Veroven. Does that
Okay.
name mean anything to you, lad?
Does.
He'll gesture at the crown sitting on his head.
It does. And
Well,
I
then-
nod to him in acknowledgement.
Well, then you know I lived a foolish life. And that only through the intercession of our Lord am I able to do anything meaningful here in this place. Meaningful in this case means giving you certain bits of information that our Lord determines you need to know, and perhaps serving as a advisor to you in the future.
I appreciate your kindness and your duty.
Duty is all, is it not, Eric?
It is.
So, if I'm going to impart what wisdom I have to you, the first thing I would say is, lad, you need to be a bit more tactical and less reckless in your fights.
I accept that as an obvious truth.
Your attempt to protect your friends is noble and certainly befitting of your role. But merely because you stripped yourself of all of your power and our Lord's power does not mean you could not have found a source of it from amongst them. So you really should explore that when you find yourself back amongst the living.
I see.
The second thing I think you need to know is that our Lord approves of most of your actions, in particular your actions on the Zulkir's Pride, something I have to say, given my history, I found most delightful, those damned red wizards being what they are.
I agree, my lord.
Oh, I'm not your lord. I was a king once. I am a king no longer.
I agree, fellow servant.
Ah, much better. He also approves of your desire to protect others, among them your friends. But, Eric, there's a difference between justice and vengeance. Ideally, one should protect, so one does not need to avenge.
I agree.
I appreciate your agreeableness. Also, if you teach people to protect themselves, that is, in the end, more effective than just protecting them yourself, as even vigilance is limited by absence. So, lad, clearly you are trying to achieve something. Is that not so?
It is my duty to see my companions home safe, as they wish.
That is a duty, lad, not your primary one.
It is not. It is perhaps not my primary duty, but it is my first duty.
Is it then? An eyebrow will go up at that.
The first one that I took upon myself.
Myself. See, now that is the key difference. Our master saw fit to speak to you in person when you inadvertently purloined his blade, and he set you upon a specific purpose. There is no doubt, he's waving with a dismissive gesture, a bigger picture, why you were drawn first to that demiplane I plucked you out of to bring you here. But you're to focus, remain focused on more concrete gains. The future helm likely did not bring you here for that bigger picture. Shadowbane, the mantle, the role, was your brainchild, was it not?
Yes.
So it is to be your child, figuratively and literally, at the moment. It is your job to make it into a reality.
I see.
That
You mean the boy?
Yes. That boy is the key to the future of Shadowbane, as you are the key to its present. You must prepare him for that role, first and foremost, to survive and thrive on the streets of our city, a place he will soon find himself again, all too soon, and by your hand.
I see. Figuratively and literally.
Figuratively and literally. I know you have a fondness for the lad, and that fondness is rooted in the fact that he could very well be your son, given the likeness between the two of you, and the fact that one could argue you are his creator. But you have to use that likeness as his father to your benefit. Do not coddle the boy, no matter how much you feel for him as your creation, or he will not survive the streets. His destiny is to live a hard life. His childhood is nearly at an end. You know that, as you decided it. So you must not be soft with him, Eric. Do you understand that?
I do.
There is one more piece of news about your children that I'd share. Your other child, the fox at twilight, is not why Helm would have brought you here. She and her fate is a problem for a different god. Do not waste your time and effort tracking her down and trying to change that fate or ease that suffering in an attempt to salve your own. Gedren is your mission. Do you understand that?
I do. And
Helm-
believe me, trusty one, I have had enough Fox of Twilight for many lifetimes.
You got him to laugh. It's a fairly, a deep chuckle that this gentleman had.
Note that I said I have had enough. Okay.
You've given her enough information, Eric, that she probably will have some desire to track you down to extract more of it from you. Do not allow yourself to be drawn off of your main mission in pursuit of one of hers. That is what I am here to warn you of. Is that clear?
It is clear, and I will not.
Good. You should also know that Helm's goals will be opposed by the other powers that dragged you all here. They, no doubt, all want to achieve their own ends. Do not waver, and be prepared for your friends to oppose you or seek to promote their own agendas. Be watchful.
Always, ever watchful.
Vigilance is your duty and your birthright. I cannot tell you what to do beyond your mission with Gedren, but should you find yourself in a suitably dire situation, I'll do what I can to guide you. Your friends, they need your protection, but don't be afraid to draw on their power as well, because they all hold some measure of Helm's grace. Speaking of power, lad, it is clear to our Lord that you are trying to be a champion, a paladin, and he approves. He will grant you that power. But, lad, you are the law, not just a vigilante. So you must follow a code in the use of that power. The code of the Sentinel. Protect the innocent. Shield the world from evil. Remain upon your path of duty, and do not seek reward for it. The duty itself is its own reward. Fail to follow those principles, and your powers will be lost. Continue to fail to follow those principles, and your powers will be gone from you. Is that also clear, lad?
That is very, very clear.
Good.
I understand that quite well.
This is excellent. I will say I was given to believe that you would prove to be far more difficult to deal with than you are. You seem to be a terribly agreeable sort.
I am pleased you think so, fellow trusted one.
I mean, I'm used to people deferring to me because I was, after all, a king. But at the end of the day, it's so nice to be in the company of someone whose goals and mine are so closely aligned. So, lad, your friends, of course, find themselves in trouble. Is there anything you'd care to ask me in the few moments we have left before I need to send you to them to save them from it?
Of course.
Ask away then, lad.
Can you name for me the other entities that are interested in my companions?
It is funny that you ask that question. I sort of knew you would. No, I cannot speak of them, nor their mission, although you already have the knowledge yourself to suss out their identities. But there are a set of rules that apply to everyone and everything, the gods included. And at the end of the day, Helm, our lord, is only guessing at what his future self has intended for all of us. We cannot know his own mind. Frustrating, maddening, I'm sure, but I'm used to that sort of thing. I hope you are as well.
How do I draw power and grant power to my companions?
You may have noticed that possession of some of the power in the marks that you possess allows communication between members of your group. If you had a measure of that power, you could engage in that communication as well. There are other abilities which remain hidden from my ability to share them now, but depending upon what paths you all choose to tread, the more of one mind you are, the more of those abilities you will discover that you can unlock. Among those abilities is the capacity to share power. As I say, you are, by your own choice and Helm's offer, his agent. Your friends contain within each one of them some measure of his future divine power. You could, lad, if you wanted to, simply take it from them. But I imagine that they would offer it to you as well, if you were to but ask. Well, most of them, anyway.
If each of them contains a spark of Helm's power, does that mean that he has influence upon them?
Everyone has the choice to decide what they want to do with all the power that they've been granted. The only influence that people have is the influence of the choices that they make based upon the knowledge that they have of the powers that lie within them. Again, cryptic enough for you, lad?
Absolutely. If you could offer me one further piece of advice, what would it be?
Do what you can to prepare the lad for life on his own, on the streets, with mercy in his heart, to the extent that you can instill it. The streets of Westgate are difficult and deadly. And you and I both know who rules there, really rules there at the moment. He will have to live a hard life, but the more compassion that he can have, the more pleasure he can draw from this existence that faces him. That is the advice I would give, if I could give any.
I will do as you suggest.
The choice in the end is yours, lad. But it appears as though your friends need you. So it's time for you to go.
One last thing.
Yes?
If we should meet again, will you tell me
When?
the story?
We'll meet again.
Hopefully not so soon. Will you tell me the story of how you came to be in our Lord's service?
Certainly. Gladly and happily.
Wonderful.
Very good then, lad. And he'll approach you. It seems like maybe he's going to grasp your hand and give you the warrior's handshake, but then he pulls what I would best describe as a "this is Sparta" move, and in fact raises up one foot and kicks you in the chest, stunning you, sort of ejecting you from the afterlife. Eric,
It just punts me out of death.
you'll find yourself being kicked out of the fugue plane.
Oh my
And
God. Okay.
we will, in a moment, get to where you are. So, Randy,
Yeah,
let's talk about you for a minute, shall we?
I'm glad that didn't have Eric's, because I would have been snickering every time he said duty. But okay, here we go.
Who knows? You may end up with a duty as well.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. All right. So you last recall being touched on the head by Finder, the god of reckless fools, and then a rush of power and energy flowing into you, short-circuiting your neurons and sending you to the happy world of sleep.
Yeah, as I recall, he told me to kneel in front of him and then winked at me, and I knew it was going to go one of two ways, and this is a good way to go, I think.
I guess that's true, right? That is an entirely accurate description of the situation. You'll awake like you're waking from a long nap.
Yeah.
I guess what I'd describe as your happy place. What's your happy place, Randy?
My happy, like real life happy place?
Randy's happy place. If Randy could awake from a dream in any location, where would that be?
Right now there's this little pub that me and a bunch of friends hang out and write in, and just probably be like there with all of my friends around me, writing, eating, drinking, laughing, and somehow my cats are there as well. You bet. Yeah.
All right. So it's a like a tavern?
Yeah.
Okay. You will awake on the table in the center of this tavern.
Okay.
You'll immediately recognize it. The sights and smells. It's warm and it smells nice because I'm sure there's all kinds of yummy food and beverages in this place.
Mhm.
You will note that your friends are not here. The tavern is empty. However, seated upon you, how many cats are we talking, Randy? 2. Are your 2 cats. That one of them seems to be curled up between your legs. You're laying on your back, kind of looking at the ceiling as you come awake in this place. And the other one is seated in the center of your chest. And they're both purring. Dealer's choice as to which cat is where.
Yeah, no, that sounds about right. I know which one's where, yeah.
And as you look around the room to determine what's where, you'll see a flash of movement and hear a laugh. It's a genuine, deep, like tinkling female laugh. And you'll see that it's coming from a woman. There was a flash of movement, and that flash of movement will resolve itself into the form of a woman. She is about 5'8". She's young, like, I don't know, maybe 18, 19 winters, beautiful, and dressed in colorful diaphanous silks, a colorful diaphanous silk dress of red and yellow and blue. She has olive skin, raven, curvy, curly hair, lush curves, and sparkling brown eyes. That's Jamal. But that's not Jamal as you saw her the last time you saw her in the realms. That's Jamal as a teenage girl. And she is looking down at you, chuckling with your cats purring away on top of you.
Oh, Jamal, oh my God. So good to see you.
And
I'm sorry for what happened.
I'm not. It's good to see you as well, Randy. And she'll sketch out a little swirl in the center of the room. She's agile and nimble in a way that she has not been in a very long time. Every time you saw Jamal, you saw her walking with a limp from when her leg was shattered because of that incident that occurred in her basement fighting the vampire. She's now decades younger in form than she has been, and a trace of all the agility and joy that she used to have as a child is now in her. And it's clear she's filled with wonder and joy about that experience. She will say, I may be dead, but I haven't felt this good in decades, and laugh.
That's good. I'm happy. That relieves some of the sorrow for what happened. Yeah.
She'll move over to where you are on the table, and she will offer her hand to you. A dance?
Sure.
So you will gently remove the cats?
Yeah.
Okay. You'll notice when you go to pick up your cats that your cats look and feel exactly like your cats, but where their normal eyes would be is a field of stars.
So they're like my normal cats. Okay.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Apparently exactly identical to your normal cats. I'm not sure what
Is
breed
that
is,
not
but-
normal for cats? I didn't.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
I guess that is. I guess that is totally normal for cats.
Okay. Yeah. On the side.
So her hand is warm and her touch is real. Like she is right there in the room around you. This place feels as real as the real place, but you know it's not. You know, because the doors aren't doors, the windows aren't windows, that it's sort of closed in, right? And you sort of sneakingly suspect that this entire thing might be going on up here someplace. But to you, it feels as real, more real than any dream you've ever had in your life. And she'll give you a hand up from the table and twirl you around in a little spinning dance while laughing the whole way for a couple of minutes before she says anything else to you.
Okay.
She smells. She smells good. She feels good. So you'll enjoy the simple joy of that. Sorry, go ahead, Randy.
No, I don't know. I don't know if I would think of it in that way, but yes, I hear what you're like. I would enjoy the dancing,
right.
Laughing with her, dancing, having fun.
She'll stop, sketch a curtsy to you, and say, "I'll say, lad, I appreciate your care and compassion for me, and I in the same way that I appreciate everything that you did for me in life. And you wear it well." She's gesturing to the holy symbol around your neck, which you realize is
thank you
now there. I'm also happy with the way my story ended. I've always wanted to go out in a blaze of glory, like a cheap hero, rather than die in the cold in my bed. So I thank you and our Lord Finder for the chance to do so, and what's more, to go on in this way and do even more good in the life beyond this mortal one.
I was just gonna say, if I get the chance, I'll be sure to write a song about you.
That would flatter me considerably. So please get the chance. I have to say, I was focused often on battling the villains of Westgate, too often, in fact, to see that there was a bigger picture to everything. But as Finder has since showed me, that's a problem hardly confined to me. Instead, in fact, shared by the gods themselves. I'm here to do what I can to give you advice and counsel.
Great. I guess, what can you tell me about why we were brought to the realms?
Well, I can't tell you everything, but I can tell you a few things.
Okay.
First, I can explain why I'm here talking to you and why our Lord Finder chose you when, and she's tapping at where your mark would be located.
Mm-hmm.
His power is contained nowhere in that thing. We picked you, Randy, because we deduced that you are the most likely to march to the beat of your own drum. The most likely to be skeptical of divine powers and promises. And she'll laugh a deep laugh. The irony of an avowed atheist serving as a priest of the Lord Finder and his agent is not lost on me or on him. But then he always did have an odd sense of humor. I will pledge this to you, lad. Neither I nor Finder will ever try to control you. What you do is up to you, and what you do with Finder's power is up to you as well. Finder looked inside you to who you are and obviously liked what he saw. We trust you to do what's right and to help others to do the same. And here's where we get to it, lad. Your friends will all be tempted by the powers that brought you all here, that did so for their own reasons, first and foremost, not for any bigger cause or picture beyond this one. Which brings me, yes?
Were each of my friends brought by different gods for competing reasons?
I
Like,
don't
or were we all brought by the conglomerate of like through an agreement of the gods?
I personally do not know the specific answer to that question. And I'm not sure that our Lord Finder really does as well, but I suspect that there's a push and pull that exists between them all, right? That in order to do whatever it is they must do, that they must cooperate with one another to achieve the end of meddling in the big picture. But that they each have their own goals within it. So all and none, I guess that's the best thing I can give you by way of an answer. Does that make sense?
It does. I'm trying to think of the Venn diagram of where their interests overlap, but
I'm not sure exactly what that is, but I think I have a vague idea of what you're trying to say.
oh, the wizard Venn. It's one of his mystic diagrams that he uses to combine the spirits of different things into an amalgam.
That makes perfect sense to me.
Create chimeras of,
Chimeras, I certainly understand.
Yeah.
I can say this much.
Yeah.
There is a bigger picture here. Much bigger. I don't know exactly what. Finder doesn't know exactly what, but the Moon Maiden does. Or at least she knows more than we know. And Finder is her creature in this matter, in the same way that I am his creature. Selune has her own actors on the stage, in fact. I know that. You should know that. And you should decide for yourself what to do with that knowledge. I'd guess we'd ask really only this of you, lad. Don't lose sight of the fact that there's a picture bigger than the small ones we're facing right now. Others may choose to do that. Someone has to not. Always try to do the right thing and to help others in need where you can. Create things of beauty. Spread knowledge of songs and stories where you go. Be curious, always curious, looking for why and how things work. Question authority, something I don't think I need to tell you over much. And learn about the whys, Randy. Always the whys. Now, your friends being your friends, we haven't much more time to talk before I think they'll be in need of you. But I might have time for a question or two if you've got one.
When you say don't get distracted by the little things, focus, there's a bigger picture. Do Gedrin and the Tiefling babies, do they fall into the smaller distraction category or into the bigger picture category, in your opinion?
She's smiling broadly. Here's a phrase that my lord said to you over and over, and that he drilled repeatedly into me. The scales must always remain in balance, Randy. However, if you're asking me to guess, I'd say that each of those things sounds kind of parochial, doesn't it?
I guess.
Well, you'll have to piece together the rest of it yourself,
parochial.
because I don't know what it means. She knows what parochial means. She just doesn't know what it overall means. Or if she ain't telling. Anything else, lad? The time's coming nigh.
I guess Finder said that he was imbuing me with some of his power.
Yes.
What does that mean? Does that mean I don't need the mark, or does that mean I still need to use the mark to use his power, or does that mean I can am I a cleric now? Am I able to cast his?
The mark. And so it is the source of a lot of different things and has many powers all to its own, near as we can tell. However, Finder has gifted you with the ability to serve as one of his priests. So when you awake from this place, you will have the power of a priest of Finder, complete with spells. So again, use them in your own best judgment, and of course you'll have to gain inexperience and power to unlock more of them. But anything an initiate or novitiate would know at the completion of their religious training, you'll find will spring to your mind when you need them. I'm gonna guess she's eyeing you up and down. You've got about 3 good spells in you, lad.
Okay. And I guess final question, if you could be any animal, what animal would you be, Jamal?
She'll chuckle. You don't really need to ask me that question. She'll sort of display her hair. The
Mhm.
raven.
Ah, excellent choice.
And
Well,
you, Randy, if you could be any animal, what would you be?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. I should have been prepared for that. That's the problem when you ask these questions and then you haven't really thought about the answer yourself. I guess I
Why
would
does
have to
that not
be.
surprise me, lad?
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, a phoenix is always cool because, you know, you can rise from the ashes and fly and be beautiful. And
I'm sure you will
Sure.
do all of those things, but your
Yeah.
friends need you, and the time for
Yeah.
that is now. She's coming towards you in much
Mhm.
the same way that someone was recently coming towards Eric. And maybe you think she's going to give you a handshake or something like that, but instead, she comes in close to embrace you and plants a passionate kiss on your lips.
Oh.
You'll be stunned for a moment, and then you'll feel yourself rushing down a tunnel back to consciousness, her voice fading in the distance as she says, "May Finder, Timora, and Salune guide and protect you." And then you are kissed out of unconsciousness. So, Joel, I believe you're guarding the bodies, right?
Yes.
All right. So you're there, you're looking outward. You've got little Gedrin, he's looking outward. You heard your friends moving around in the foliage. You thought maybe you heard something else. And then you're briefly terrified when both Randy and Eric sit up from where they were lying comfortably unconscious on the ground,
Ow.
drawing great breaths next to each other. Eric, you feel like you've been in a comfortable rest, like you've gotten 11 hours of sleep and you're ready to rock and roll. That uncomfortableness that you had when you last woke up, however long ago that was, is just completely gone. You've got this little tightness in the center of your chest where somebody just that has started you, but here you are. Randy, you had a far more pleasant wake up, and you too feel rested and revitalized. Kissed and kicked out of the afterlife, boys. Here you are.
Oh, hi, everybody. Hey,
Non-lawful
Joel.
deities have all the fun. Anyway,
I was gonna say, yeah, meta comment. My God, so much better than yours, Eric. Anyway,
Clearly.
so,
Okay, guys.
it's not about better or worse. It's just different. Oh, hey, Joel.
Okay, guys.
What? Oh,
Guys, okay, guys. We're in Undermountain. We're in Willowwood. There is Amara and Rhiannon went out to go scouting, and you guys were unconscious, so I stayed here to watch you.
Why did we come to the Willowwood?
I don't know.
Allie did it. I understand.
What
I was
is
gonna
the
say that, but
Willowwood?
yes,
Oh,
yes.
It's part of Undermountain.
Or possibly Finder. I mean, he's the one who gave us the portal. Who knows?
Yeah, you're right. I shouldn't blame Allie prematurely. It could have been Finder doing it. Randy.
You know, reckless fools. All
don't
of us.
even know what the Willowwood
but
is.
yeah, so we're not really sure what's around us, but let's keep it quiet for now.
Okay, but there are people. Did you
We
say
don't-
there were people?
I don't know.
You just knew there were noises that you were listening to, and then these guys scared the living bejesus out of you just a moment ago, and you started a conversation with them. We will, in fact, move 100 feet away in the woods to Allie and Rhiannon, who are looking at these 5 individuals who have come out, crept out of the night into the other side of this clearing and are now about 55 feet away from them as the two of you are backed up against this tree. How now,
Okay.
Brown Cow? What would the two of you like to do?
You said that the symbol they were wearing was like a claw.
Yes, like a beast's claw.
I don't like that. I think I know what that is, and I don't like it.
Like that.
Well,
I
so
don't like it.
Near
Yeah.
enough to Ali to put my hand to make the connection to speak. So I'm gonna ask, like, does the symbol mean anything to you?
Well, if I'm remembering my symbols correctly, and I might be wrong here, they might be worshippers of Malar.
They are.
Right.
Steph, who's Malar?
Definitely are.
Malar is a god of the Beast Lord. It's the god of
Savagery.
savagery.
Wild animals.
Yeah.
Being murdered by wolves.
Funny.
Yes.
You're mentioning this business, and these individuals are fanning out across the clearing, almost like they're stalking, looking for
They're
someone
hunting.
or something. I wonder if they can see footprints. You guys didn't really think footprints. We should probably not leave footprints near the. Ooh, that leads right to where you're hot. Ooh.
We need to get back. No, we can't leave them to the others. Shit.
Shadow dancing time.
I can't.
Can't.
That's right, because it hasn't been a full day, has it?
It's barely been an hour, Eric.
That's right. I know.
Well,
Well, I don't know. I was dead for part of it. How would I know?
Anyway. Okay. They're probably looking for us. If we head back, we're going to lead them right to everyone else.
This is up here, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure we're not whispering.
Yep.
Okay.
So we might have to lead them on a wild goose chase and see if we can shake them before we head back. Unless we want to beat feet and try to get there first and make sure to get everybody prepared. If
Rhiannon,
Eric
not to interrupt you, but just so
Yeah.
Rhiannon knows this. You discovered in book 1 that your friend can't overhear the
Correct,
conversations of the two. So any information that you're gleaning or kicking around here, if you want your friend to know, you're going to need to tell your friend. Okay, so just continue on, Allie. Yeah.
You can make it back to the others to warn them more easily than I can. You're stealthy. And I can crash around and then fire them. But that doesn't end well. Like,
No, I don't think it ends well.
5 of them. So unless you're coming with backup,
Amazing.
That would be
Which-
ideal, but we don't know if they're awake yet.
Roll a 20-sided die, Rhiannon.
7.
How familiar are you with most spells in Dungeons and Dragons? You'd say pretty familiar?
Lightning-based ones, yes.
Okay, so
Less so
other
for
area of effect spells, say spells that create fiery balls, you're not
Yes.
as familiar with?
Not as familiar, correct.
Okay. All right, fair enough. All on your own then. Go ahead. You were saying.
Well, and unless I like try one of the big spells, all right, friend.
Friend. I like the sound of that.
Not really. Rando in my head. No, it takes longer to say. Does any of the magic I already have seem to you to be particularly useful? I'm not getting close enough for burning hands.
Are we talking about the spells I've already taught you?
Correct.
I doubt very much they'd be able to fell all of those men, but I do have one in mind I think might do the trick. And the clearing's just about the right size for it.
Oh, yeah.
So we were supposed to have our how many stars we have left on the mark. Because I know I've lost 3, which leaves.
Oh, 3. You're right, 3. Because the first one
3.
was okay.
So which leaves how many? Remind me.
I believe there are 5 here and 5 here, like different aspects, right? But 5 of the tridenty ones. You suspect this would be a tridenty one, so that's 5 minus 3 is 2.
2. All right. Yeah, let's do it. There's no point sort of running off and then doing it. Let's do it now.
Excellent. Remember, fire is always the answer. Repeat after me.
And then I gotta warn Allie. Yeah, fireball. So don't stand too close.
They have made their way to the center of the clearing. There are 3 on one side and 2 on the other.
That's the time.
Okay. So, are you
I'm gonna
going
back
to
away?
Do you want to risk moving? If you risk moving,
No.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna stay put.
So, Rhiannon, you are going to allow it to tell you what words of magic to say in your mind, and you are going to start to mutter those quietly out loud, do the handy gestures, and then just roll out from behind your hiding space at the critical moment of doom.
Yeah.
Okay. So great news! Nobody's expecting that! So this is what the kids call surprise! So you will mutter the words of this spell. This one, unlike the other ones you've used, well, the first, that one you used to glass all that vampires, I was exhausting. Took for bloody ever. This one's not quite as bad as all that, but there's a lot of hand gestures, and normally if you were a wizard, you'd need components for it, but I mean, who needs that? And so you're just, and you're doing this thing, and you're kind of making this ball with your hand, and then somewhere along the way, this little green, a little green light, isn't that pretty, appears in the palm of your hand, and then you just need to roll around and... You ready?
Yep.
Okay.
Do it.
So you will do exactly that. It will let you know, as you're about to release the little green ball, that you want the little green ball visualized in your mind, where you want the little green ball to end up. And then everything about 20 paces from around it in all directions should burn generously.
Get rid of the moss.
Okay, yes. You will also get rid of the moss. So release the nice little green ball. It will fly from your hand like an arrow shot from a bow with about that speed and go over into the center of the clearing. That's about the time that these 5 gentlemen will discover that there is a problem. They will see it fly out from behind a tree in horror, as they grasp that there is some spell coming their way. They're used to this being blue as opposed to green, because most of them are, but yours seem to be of a particular emerald hue. And into the center of the clearing it goes. Just as it's about to get there, the voice will say, "You may wish to close your eyes for this."
Yeah, I'm doing that.
Okay, I was going to ask you, you want to keep moving, see what goes down? Okay. So, Allie, is it safe to say you're shielding yourself from this?
Yeah, definitely.
That falls into the hell yes category. Got it. Okay. So, arrives, you'll close your eyes a moment before it arrives at the destination, and then you'll see through your eyelids like the blast of an explosion. So fire. Now, those of you 100 feet away won't hear this because fireballs actually go off pretty quiet. They're really more pressure than they are kaboom explosions. But you'll see it. You'll see the giant, like, my God, it's like giant fireworks went off on the ground not too far away, Joel. Like a gigantic firework. So you can see the blast lit back through the trees in all, orange and red and blood. So that's fire. That's going to be Rhiannon over there. And then it'll roll out over the clearing and you'll feel the heat just singe back. This isn't you 100 feet away. This is you at the edge of the clearing. Just singe back over in that direction, and you'll hear a few things. You'll hear men howling in agony quickly before that is cut off, right? And you'll hear, oh my word, water just turning to steam around you, and things burning in the area around where the explosion takes place. And quick as it's there, it's gone. And now you can just hear things crackling and roaring and steam hissing in the distance. Let me know when you guys want to, take a look.
I was about to say, we need to help them, and then that happened.
And you remembered Rhiannon was over there, and you're like, never mind, they're okay.
Oh,
They got this.
I mean, assuming that
that-
was Rhiannon that did that, and that it wasn't done
That's-
to Rhiannon, then
I am
yeah.
assuming Rhiannon did that.
Green fire, that's kind of seems to be her.
That'll
I
be
look, I looked
go
at Joel
ahead.
and I'm like, okay, Rhiannon might need help.
So that'll be a rush, as I mentioned before, Rhiannon, of ecstasy and power, just raw power when that mark clicks off and grants you the power to send that thing. And just all is right. You have smoted your opponents, and you are confident that you have just burned them from the face of Faerun, or underneath it, as the case may be. And when you open your eyes, you won't be able to see a bloody thing because the entire clearing is now wrapped in this mist that probably was a result of half that bloody pond cooking off from that fireball. And so there's just like a sauna out there. You can kind of see beyond the edges of it. Holy crap, some of those trees are on fire, despite the fact that this place was like sopping with water. Might be a good idea to get the heck out of Dodge.
Well, that's
But
terrifying.
my boulder.
Wait for the mist to clear and check out
All
that
right,
boulder.
all right.
You're a call.
Like I say out loud, well, that's terrifying.
Well, I don't get to like redo it that until I'm have more experience, and we're going home before then.
Yeah, every first
No.
casting is maximized, or something like that. I believe we found out.
All right. So
Oh,
meanwhile, the three lads are like, "Oh, I think we need to go help." What does that mean exactly?
Gedrin, Randy, each of you grab a babe and let's go.
Okay.
I think you
Yes.
mean me.
Okay.
I don't think you mean Gedrin.
He's 5. He can carry a. Well, wait. Where's your sword?
That's
That's
a
a
great
good question.
Do you have a weapon?
Can I resummon my sword?
I don't know. Do you want to try?
Yeah, I want to try.
All right. You will reach out, asking the universe to place Vindicator into your hand, and there it is.
Right here. We're good.
Cool.
Let's go.
Okay.
Boy,
So,
get that
Yeah.
child.
yes, Father. Okay. He will scoop up the babes in his arms and follow in your wake. So the three of you, moving through the jungle, headed towards the trouble.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Allie?
If this is really the Willow Wood, there might be an angry druid here any
Ooh.
second. So
Ooh.
let's
Ooh.
Probably.
let's
the
keep
people we-
going.
I think the people we just nuked were angry druids.
Oh,
Probably.
angrier druid.
Angry. Sure.
Okay.
I say we. I mean Rhiannon.
I like that. I say we. I mean Rhiannon. So, Allie, yeah, that happened. Your buddies saw that. There's no way your buddy didn't see that. So, what's the plan?
I mean, I guess linger long enough because we're not far away. If they're coming, they're coming. Otherwise, get the heck out. Like,
So,
it's-
linger was the first word I heard.
yes,
Okay. Does lingering take you about 3 minutes?
yeah.
Takes about 3 minutes for your friends to arrive at the edge of the scene. You'll hear them coming because despite how they might want to be stealthy, that's not really happening. So you can hear them traipsing to you through the forest. So you know it's your companions coming from the direction you left them in. And it sounds like, oh, maybe that woke up your sleeping companions, because it's not just Joel, despite the fact that he's making plenty of noise moving through those woods. Rhiannon, I assume you heard all of that.
They're coming towards us.
Yes,
what I
that's
heard.
really
Sorry.
that's the essence of what you need to
Okay.
know.
Yes.
And so, Eric, Randy, and Joel, holy moly, it looks like somebody dropped a nuke on this nice little forest glade. There was probably a pun there based on the amount of frickin' steam in the air.
Yeah.
Wow.
Is there anything moving or still alive in the blast radius?
Holy crap, no. I mean, you,
Okay.
if you were to say, I don't know, put a certain mask on, could see right through it.
Oh, I forgot that I had that.
Oh,
I do put the mask on.
all right.
Well, I didn't have it when I was dead, so.
Yeah, so somebody's going to have to, where is it? I need it. I can see through that if you give me the mask.
Did I don't think anybody took the mask. Did
No.
somebody
No,
take the
we
mask?
left the mask with you.
Okay. I put the mask back on.
All right, so you put the mask back on. You, Allie, and you, Rhiannon, will see them come. In fact, it is Eric and Randy, both wide awake and looking, as good as you've seen him in a bit. Eric's got his fancy sword swinging. Babies are divided between, I like the way you were like, that thing's back. Babies are divided. You and that, Mark, man. You're one person. The babies are divided between Randy and there's a 5-year-old carrying a newborn. and Eric with the sword. He's putting on that mask. And all of a sudden, Eric, you can see through that thing. You can see the mist sort of hanging there. You know where it is and the edges of it. Oh, wow. There was a pond here. It's still here, but wow, kind of like there's 15 feet of what used to be pond that's now like baked earth, mud that was cooked away in that explosion. And there's a rock with something graven on it that's pretty clear to see at this point. There were bones and moss. I mean, not that you know this, but they're gone. If there was anyone or anything in this entire area, it's gone. If there were hanging moss and above any of these trees, that's gone. In a clean circle around the edge of this place, there's merrily burning bush and trees.
I'll start humming and composing for Finder. To burn the druids and boil the fluids, a fireball ought to do it.
Just,
Hi,
Wow. Okay.
welcome. Good to see you all awake. We need to
Just
get out
look-
of here.
I just look across the clearing at Rhiannon, and the camera comes in slowly, and I just go,
I want to search the bodies real quick. See if there's any.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, now the what? The what are you looking for?
They're completely gone.
No trace that anyone or anything was ever standing in that clearing.
Not even shadows, huh? Okay.
There's a word for this that I like to use, and it's called save for the texture of the ashes. They failed that thing.
okay.
Yeah, we need to get out of here.
We need to read the boulder, seeing
Okay.
as like,
Well, Boulder's in
Yes.
Elvish.
Great.
yeah,
Go.
the
Go.
head voice can read it.
Okay, fine. Just. I'll just accept it at this point.
I accept it at this point.
And,
At this point, I accept it.
And
Okay,
I also
so-
want to make sure that I put eyes on the boulder just in case my friend has anything to say about it.
Okay. So the problem you all have is, unless you wait for the steam to clear out, whoever wants to read the boulder needs to be able to see it. The only person who can see it is whoever wearing the mask.
Okay.
Again.
Yeah, I will step out of the steam cloud, and I will
Mhm.
hand the mask to Rhiannon.
Steam cloud's uncomfortably warm, Eric. Uncomfortably
Yep.
warm.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So, Rhiannon, you will tie this thing on. It's not as creepy as that face mask that just gloms to you. It's just literally kind of and you tie it in the back, and then it kind of gets to a tight fit to accommodate your face, but it's not creepy, like, oh, stick it to me, get it off me. So that's nice. And you'll go, oh, wow, no wonder he likes this thing. You can really kind of peer into the dark corners and stuff. And I could see right through that mist. The earlier description that I gave Eric, including no bloody trace of anyone or anything. But hey, the stone's nicely scoured.
Cameo appearance at Bat Rhiannon. Yeah.
That steam might be a little bit warm, but I mean,
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm not gonna go in and like ignore when it starts scalding me, but
Is it warm for her, or is she more tolerant?
That's what I'm wondering too.
only one way to find out.
so
Do you
I'm gonna
wanna
go
find out?
closer.
Okay. All right. So you'll move into the steam. That means Rhiannon is disappearing from everyone's sight. Just
Yep.
FYI. Okay. Okay. So Rhiannon, as you go in there, it's warm and steamy. If you've ever been in a what's the word I'm searching for? Sauna. So you'll start to sweat, and water will beat on you, and your hair will start to get wet, and your clothing will start to get wet. But it's not uncomfortable. I don't know what these people are even worried about, really.
I did swim lessons a long time as a kid, so that's what.
There
I'm
you go, really? Okay. So you'll move over to the boulder till you're within a couple of feet of it, so that in the moonlight that radiates down and your mask is cutting through what the shadows. Oh, yeah. It looks like, almost like somebody took a finger, right? And just wrote into the stone itself the characters of that thing. Huh, that's kind of neat. Okay.
What do we got?
So this will be a little bit uncomfortable, but you'll get used to it. Don't throw up.
Oh boy. Okay.
But if you do throw up, none of us can see you, so it's probably okay. We can only hear it.
we can. No one can hear you vomit. Okay.
Were you about to have an I know kung fu moment?
We'll see. So, okay, you're preparing yourself for uncomfortability. You're glancing at the elvish. You know how when you were looking at that sign outside the Giant's Folly, and some of the signs in town, the letters kind of squiggled a bit? You couldn't quite make them out. Ooh, the squiggling's there, but they're gonna snap into place. But the way that does it, immediate jolt of nausea to the tum-tum. Could you roll a 20-sided die for me? Like you put on somebody's super high prescription glasses and now you're trying to read with it.
14. That
Okay.
bodes ill, I think.
Ooh. And you will vomit into your own mouth. Now, it didn't come out, so bonus, right? You'll in fact choke it back down, but that's unpleasant because it kind of burns in your nose a little.
Yeah.
I'm gonna want to drink something to get that taste out of my mouth. But hey, you can read. How about that? This thing's lengthy. This bloody thing. Do you want to take a moment to read it?
Yep.
Okay.
I worked hard for this, man. You can't take it away from me.
Placed by a wizard in a young forest glade lies a weapon of might, a long emerald blade. The wizard, he hid it. The blade would not die. Hid it. He feared it. Beneath this false sky. Stanza 1, stanza 2, stanza 3. I watched him hide it. Impartial I stood. Bound by my honor, evil must live with good. Stanza 4. The wizard he hid it. I heard the blade cry. Hid it. He feared it. The sword, Tirulai. Stanza 5. Wielded by he who sought the mad mage's head. Wielded by he who now lies still and dead. Stanza 6. Palaster he hid it. The blade would not die. Hid it. He feared it. But I know not why. Stanza 7. Tirulai's owner by my love was slain. Then I killed my love, my mind reeling in pain. Stanza 8. The mad wizard hid it. The blade could not die. Hid it. He feared it beneath this false sky. 9. Tirulai's heart is trapped neath a wave. Would that I had such a comforting grave. Last stanza. Palaster, he hid it. The sword, Tirulai, hid it. He feared it. The wizard might die.
Interesting.
Well, I know who that is. Your
that
little
mean you
voice
know
will
where
say,
we are?
I have a sense of where we are. Yes. Halaster, the Mad Mage, this is his playground. All of this is his playground. And if he feared a blade, it must be mighty indeed. Rhiannon's been in that mist for a little while now. You're probably getting slightly nervous. She's not really making any noise. You thought you heard her retching for a moment, but
Is she okay in there?
I'm sure she's fine. Keep watching for angry druids.
Yeah.
I'm sure she's fine. Keep watching for angry druids.
Sword comes out.
Okay. So you're watching for angry druids. Rhiannon's pondering this mystery, and you will hear in the distance the sound of a horn, a hunting horn. One, and then another, and then another. They are close without being extremely close. And, Allie, could you roll a 20-sided die for me?
Right? Sorry, 6.
You now recall that that lead priest, the one of that group, was wearing at his waist what looked like a hunting horn. And on that note, we will end our session for this evening.
Well, this has been episode 1 of book 2 of Isekai Realms, starring us playing ourselves, lost in the Forgotten Realms, just looking for a place to rest. Never seems to happen, does it? I've been Eric Scott to be aspiring paladin, still on my way, playing Elric Thalabar. I'm a writer, game designer. Yeah, I have stuff online. You can find it online. Come join the Dungeon Scrawlers Discord. We have lots of fun there. There are lots of links. You can learn lots of lore about everything that's going on, and it's a good time. Take it away, Allie.
Hi, everybody. I am Alexandra Pitchford, or Allie for short. I am a writer, game designer, and TTRPG streamer. You can find me on Twitter at LexiPhoenix, and you can find me on Patreon at patreon.com/Alexandra Pitchford, where I have some bits and pieces of my current work in progress, which is a vampire story that I think people like. That's available. You can see the first couple chapters on the $1 tier. But yeah, I'm also I'm questioning the motives of my internal voice that won't talk to me. So.
I've been Rhiannon Held. Check out my books, The Anthropological Werewolves, in the Silver series, but under Rhiannon Held, and then my space opera with snarky AI and emotional support cat and carbon composite wings and all kinds of cool stuff in the Amsterdam Institute novella series. So they're just novellas. You can try one out and get a taste of what my writing is like. And tonight, thank you to whoever is moderating in the chat.
Allie, you're just now starting to question your voice's motivations?
No, but I've been questioning it this whole time.
All right.
It's further reinforced by it. Yeah.
All right, everybody, I've been Joel Everett, and thanks for coming along on this journey with us. See you next time.
And I've been Randy Henderson. Still Randy Henderson. Probably will still be Randy Henderson tomorrow, but who knows? See you next time.
Only Finder knows, really. I have been Chris, your dungeon master. I am delighted to be into book 2. I think you will all greatly enjoy it, so I would encourage you to come along for the ride. And Eric, over to you.
Well, that's it. I'll call on Rhiannon to call us out, and otherwise, see you next time.
Until next time, given all the writers, may your word counts and your rolls be equally high, or maybe low in this case, in 2E.